Morning, and it's like Lecturer Ty just said, the year is walking away from us after a long one, and the new one will start tomorrow. So I would like to say to everyone, all the best for 2018. I feel like nobody heard me.
We heard you.
Yeah, okay. So,
You too.
right. So, it's bright wisdom. So, cultivation is the acquiring and development of one's innate nature. Okay? To develop a sense of righteousness, merit, and virtue, in other words, to be saintly. With today's accessibility of the Tao, heaven has made cultivation more practical by allowing us to cultivate in our earthly environment. That means because in the older days when people had to go to the mountains to cultivate, meditate all day long and look for enlightened master, but today we are able to live in this our whatever environment we are in and cultivate. So, however, though the road is not easy or smooth, and with the determination and morality and family values, famine, disease, disasters, and various other catastrophes, people lose their way. Only those with wisdom that earnestly cultivate will be saved. Cultivation requires discipline to face the various everyday trials in life. To cope with time, space, human work, and other everyday trials without discipline, we limit ourselves in cultivation, as most people cannot hold that oneness after awakening when they receive the Tao. Tao is available to all and not just the scholars. However, only few can follow the Buddhas and saints. To stay focused and constant, we must rid ourselves of procrastination and follow these 16 rules from the ancients. To establish oneself is to receive the Tao, to live righteously, cultivate in virtues, be trustworthy and sincere, and dedicate oneself and work for the good of heaven. Dedicate to one's mission and help ferry the good people to the Dharma boat. Hobbies are time-consuming. Hobbies can be self-consuming. Hobbies can be a habit forming. Committing adultery is one and has been against righteousness and virtues since the time of the ancients. Carry out the heavenly duties, temple duties, family duties, and always be kind to humanity and all sentient beings. Maintain harmony with ancestors and never disregard our kins. Obey 10 men, or to follow heaven's mandate. Establish firm will by following rules. The following rules can make one well-rounded. Observing boundaries can make one morally upright. If we follow all the rules in the Tao, we can cultivate without crossing boundaries and become the harmonious person who can be both well-rounded and morally upright. We can rid ourselves of motley thoughts. If we remain quiet when we should say something, we may miss the chance to communicate. If we talk when we should remain quiet, we may miscommunicate. A man of honor does not make such mistakes. He proceeds cautiously, as if standing by a cliff or over thin ice, because he understands that that loose talk and improper conduct can lead to failure. Practicing Kung Fu, two attributes are self-discipline and to maintain tranquility in the heart. With a positive and sincere life, one will find the path to true happiness. With understanding and loving kindness, we will look within ourselves. We will find happiness without wisdom and sincerity. We will find the path to happiness. Practicing Kung Fu, we will find the heart of Buddha. Being thrifty. The morality of Tao is based upon three treasures, including being charitable, being thrifty, and not putting one's ahead of other. Hold on to compassion, practice frugality, and do not presume to be at the forefront in the world. Offer incense to God. Incense is used as a medium to communicate with the deities. As the Tao scriptures mention, the precious incense burn in the incense burner, and the emitting smoke travels up to heaven. The incense is the communication tool for man to convey our wishes and messages to the deities. The rising smoke from the combustion carries our wishes up to the heavens. Become a vegetarian. In the book of Zhuangzi, 300 commandments recorded that do not eat flesh or drink blood from any.
That's pronounced as 宗子.
Zhuangzi. Okay.
宗子.
Any living being. Being a vegetarian is not only the basic precept for any Tao practitioner, but as directly related to Tao. Try to be as much as possible a vegetarian. It will help you even to be a vegetarian in a polluted area. Will help you to be more immune. You must know that vegetarian people are less sick than the meat-eating people. It gives you protection. Your mind will be calmer and you will be thinking less. This is the good thing about a vegetarian diet. It is not only for its mercy quality. We forgot that by not taking other lives, our lives will also not be at stake. It is the law of karma, of cause and effect. If we forgive others, others will forgive us. Cultivate yourself. Cultivation and virtue is at the foundation of Tao practice. Virtue is cultivated through the sincere practice and acting with integrity throughout the action of one's life, whether in public or private. Rid of mistake. All bad habits and addictions must be given up. One must rid him or herself of their sinful practice and ways until the sinful person repent. To search for truth. is a problem when people pushes the truth to only be a fact. If it isn't inner, truth is a person's story of the fact. Thou teaches that from a human perspective there is one absolute truth. Thou shows that human nature is a smaller part of the larger whole. Everyone wants the truth, but no one wants to be honest. I don't believe you can be humble and conceited at the same time. Rivalry and conceit are at the opposite end of humanity. People who devote themselves to external things want everything to be good, but they don't require their own body and mind to be good. In one of the 4 books, the Analect record that Confucius put an end to 4 things: willingness, insistence, stubbornness, and egoism. If there is no egoism, neither is there any willingness, insistence, stubbornness, and egoism. Egoism is the root of selfishness. We need to let go of attachment, ego, and the control of the 5 thieves or 5 senses: ego, extreme views, deviant views, stubborn and perverted views, and rigid views. All of which can make us off balance and take us out of the internal harmony which is required for internal alchemy. Detachment, therefore, is a release from desires and consequently from suffering, is an important principle or even an ideal. Funny thing with most humans is that we only remember God when we are in need or when we are faced with some kind of adversity. As Dawkins, we must know that we never get more than we deserve or can manage, whether it is a test or cause and effect, or what we call karma. We must know that miracles are not always necessary, and the time that new and timely opportunities comes into a person's life may vary from person to person. God does not rely on mankind directions for advice. Mankind relies on God. God only dwells in truth, spiritual fulfillment, and what is real. In the most general sense, God constantly speaks to us indirectly. Humans have always posed questions to God. Though we do not metaphysically speak to God, sometimes our questions are answered directly and indirectly. God's answers are important because they underlie and inform the dualistic way we approach the world and conduct our lives. Humans seize and rely on right and wrong. We strive to be good, better, or to be the best over others. Some strive on evil, falsehood, and negativity. However, heaven is a non-dualistic realm where only loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity resides. Dualism has a certain appeal It is not surprising that we find the ideal that things endure through space and time comfortable and familiar, because in our ordinary experience they all exist. Once annually we have an opportunity to observe and learn from the Buddhas. Each visitation, every Buddha displays a very high quality of love, care, and humanity, worries, and spiritual pain, wanting us to advance in our cultivation and have greater achievement over merits and virtues. These qualities shine through the Buddhas. In order for us to have great achievement, we must have great capacity within ourselves. To get a big capacity, we need a guide. We must be our own master and guide ourselves so that we can guide others. The secular world makes us become sophisticated and alert. Thus, we cannot be at peace because there are too many secular matters involved. Hence, we must learn from God and Buddhas for doing things without expectation or reward, and for their release of desires. However, Buddhas achieve enlightenment in this secular world. Their peaceful mind was elevated from not touching worldly things. So karma is cause and effect. It is reaping what we sow, harvesting the fruit of our labor, as it were. The concept of causality is our relationship with the world rests on acknowledgement of causality. Causality is a genetic connection phenomena through which one thing, the cause, under certain conditions, give rise to causes something else, the effect. However, the universal law of cause and effect states that for every effect there is a definite cause. Likewise, for every cause there is a definite effect. Our thoughts, however, and action creates specific effect and manifests and create our life as we know it. So day after day, time after time, we are faced with different situations and circumstances. Some good, others not so good. It's just the law that human nature is guided by. Every positive has a negative. Confucius put it into perspective best. There's yin and yang, male, female, strong, weak, rigid, tender, heaven and earth, light and darkness, thunder and lightning, cold and warm, good and evil. The interplay of opposite principles constitute the universe. If we don't control this opposite, darkness they will take over our true self. We can and will overcome these and every darkness when we calm our hearts and mind by practicing letting go. When we let go, our mind and heart will be at ease and the darkness will vanish. All of us have struggles and challenges, and I'm pretty sure all of us experience and have experienced the full spectrum of human emotions. In other words, sometimes life is a little more difficult than we would like it. We experience hurt, sadness, fear, anger, anxiety, depression, and frustration. Let us gaze with undimmed eyes and remove every darkness. All things are created either by God or from our thoughts. The Buddha, lecturers and seniors have always encouraged us to study and increase our wisdom. It's with right thought and tranquil heart our true nature will become pure. In moving forward, there is no standard answer for any question because the right answer depends on our mental state. If it is good, we are good. If it is bad, we become a devil. So do not surrender to our hearts, but subdue and govern our arrogant, uncooperative hearts so that we will have a happy heart, a Buddha's heart, a Bodhi heart, and it will not often submit to trials and frustration. So, do I have any questions? Are there any questions? Any comments?
Yeah, partner.
I think I have a question.
Yes.
I want to go back to the first part where you talk about discipline
Yes.
and some of the things that one must obey.
Okay, so the 15 rules.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that I understood some of them to be things that we shouldn't do and some of them to be things that we should do.
Okay.
I'm
Alright.
not quite sure that I understood that. For example, dedicate to one's mission.
Alright.
That is something we should do.
Yes.
But we shouldn't commit
Adultery. Yeah.
But we also have to get rid of hobbies.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what is gong fu
Okay.
and incense offering to God.
Alright. So, so let's deal with the latter first. So, incense offering is that, see, like just now we had the ceremony, right?
Yeah.
And we started off by lighting the incense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the interpretation is that when we light the incense, it also, because first the lamps are lit and then the incense, so it's like it's taking away any, let's say if there were any evil spirit or anything like that, it helps to clear the air, right? And it's like we are actually, in a way, saying our morning prayer, right? So on the smoke, like it says, sending up whatever thoughts we have, which we should all be good thoughts, sending it up to the heavens.
Okay, so that is something we should do.
We should do, yes.
Okay.
And to me, I think that somehow when I going over it, I think it's like an encouragement so that we should all be should have our home temple so that we could actually be doing it constantly.
Like to add something.
Yeah.
Maybe our senior lecturers know how the incense offering, started.
Yeah.
This is not just in our type of temple; it's in other types of temple. And so, in Chinese culture, incense offering is generally associated with showing respect, and the lighting of the incense probably send some kind of signal or connect us with heaven if we are divine beings. Yeah, that's why we have this ceremony to show respect, to show our reverence, and also to somehow get that connection.
Right. So your other questions, Gong Fu is a practice. So we have to keep ourselves healthy. So we practice good habits. So like early on, it also spoke about being vegetarian. So if you're eating correctly, doing all the right thing, you're staying healthy. So discipline. You're able to discipline yourself and keep you going. So then when you keep that discipline, so you stay more righteous, so to speak.
Okay, I just thought that some were so contradictory in terms of what you need to obey.
Oh.
You know, some were conflicted. I didn't.
It's not. You think it's not? See.
When you talk about the fact that we are supposed to have these, practice these, right? Some were contradicting the other. I thought, I didn't think they were all things that we should do. There are things that we should do and there are things that we shouldn't do.
Well,
so I understand.
Yeah, from my understanding, see, the Tao is not I know it's not a religion, so it don't have all these strict rules and regulation, right? Because we are cultivating, like it says, in our environment, so we have to deal with different things in life around, right? So if we had all these strict rules, it will be very difficult to cultivate. So this is why it's important that you see, the rules can't be so stringent so that we can't do anything, but still at the same time we must be following these simple rules so that we could stay righteous.
So when you talk about getting rid of hobbies, if my particular hobby is reading or looking at TV, what is specific to that?
Well, a hobby can be, let's say,
like drinking,
drinking, like a person just can't do without drinking the beers and whatever thing, or like ladies have to go to the nail salon every week, things like that. Those, we don't have to do those things, right? And like right now in this season, you just have to go to the mall to shop because everything is on sale, things like that. Anything that is a bad habit, we have to get rid of.
Yeah, reading itself is not a bad habit. I mean, it's good to read. Yeah. It depends on what you're reading.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Yeah. See, because reading is important, because that's how we're going to gain the knowledge, right? Yeah. So reading is not one of the things that we term as a hobby.
Yeah, I think this brings a point that I'd like to add. In your passage, it talks about that we should not be confined ourselves to a box that has a single use only.
Yeah.
This actually is a quote from the analysts.
君子不齐。
不齐, yeah. Because we are cultivators, and we are supposed to be kind of knowledgeable, so we are better able to guide other people. And we will be talking with people from different backgrounds. And so it's good. I mean, of course, you have to be focused on the true knowledge, like, all the, classics, Buddhist sutras, things like that. But we also try to broaden our view and also stretch our knowledge scope, so we can always strike up some kind of conversation with people we want to try to bring to the Tao. And so we should not really limit ourselves to certain area of knowledge or capability. If we can broaden our skill our skill sets, then we are also better able to help with the Dao propagation.
Good. Alright. Anyone else? Any questions? Any comments? So, lecture Kai.
I was never good at things abstract theories, principles, such teachings. I used to teach English. It's knowledge, more of knowledge nature, but because I have been immersed in this environment, in the ambiance of the temple, I try to learn myself, and I also learn from others' classes, and gradually, I think I'm not there yet, but I think I'm growing my skills to also talk about principles, all the good things to other people. So we all have a lot of potential. We have this Buddha nature. So it's whether or not we want to really inspire it, develop it, to help other people to benefit sentient beings.
What's the title of your topic? Bright
Right
wisdom.
wisdom,
Test.
yeah.
Yeah, the whole point of summarize. The whole point is what's bright wisdom? Bright wisdom is not something that bright wisdom really. It's to be more specific and more high level. It's really in Buddha will call it Mahaprajna, right? Which is divine wisdom or perfect wisdom. This perfect wisdom is nothing more than a manifestation or you can say manifestation application of our Buddha nature. So we all have that. It's innate. The problem is that why, if that's the case, then why people don't show it, right? Why is the world so screwed up, right? Why people have hatred, lust, greed, anger, rage, etc., etc. That's because it's not that they don't have that wisdom. It's because they allow or they believe or become attached to what we call our dualistic mind, our senses, our feelings, our emotions, our desires, etc., etc. If we become attached to those things, if we pursue those things, if we think that oh yeah, love, hate, whatever emotions in general, or desires are true, are real, we become attached to it. So we follow that, and therefore our wisdom will not show up because it covers our wisdom. Because that we will follow that path, and we will then assume or believe that that's real. Instead, and what's wisdom? Wisdom has nothing to do with that. Wisdom. So now, so that's one reason. The other thing is, what is this divine wisdom or this bright wisdom, this great wisdom, this etc. This wisdom, perfect. This wisdom is something that is, as I said before, it's innate. We're already equipped. It is already a manifestation, a natural, you can say, expression of our Buddha nature. But and so therefore, it's not through experience. Yeah, we have experience. We have wisdom through experience, right? When you're young, you touch fire, woo, you burn. When you grow up, oh, wait a minute, I better not touch fire because I know I'm going to get burned. Right? So that's experience. That's different. That's knowledge. That's a type of knowledge. Experience is a type of knowledge, right? So now, I'm not to say that knowledge is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying knowledge is helpful, but understand knowledge is conditioned. If you never touch the fire, you'll never know that, oh, fire is bad, right? Or fire can hurt you, right? Burn you, never. So it's conditional, okay? So understand that our divine wisdom is non-conditional. Non-conditioned. It just naturally is. It's really if you really want to get more abstract, it's that suchness, thusness, okay? But it's that tathata, okay, if you really want to get. But that's not to say learning is wrong. Like you say, reading, as long as we know we read what is proper, right? We learn what is proper. What I mean by proper are, he mentioned some rules, Unfortunately, we're still relatively ignorant or not yet enlightened, so we have to have some guidelines to kind of guide us, to point us in the right direction, to say, hey, this is the right path towards achieving this bright wisdom, or higher level nirvana, higher level enlightenment. Okay? All right. So we need some kind of guidelines, rules, right? So we have rules, the 15 rules, etc., whatever. All right. Okay. So now people say, oh, that's dogma. It's not really dogma. It's really common sense. And actually, it's really, if you want to get the highest level, rules, these manners of behavior, the 4 awe-inspiring and dignified demeanors, right? The 4 为义, right? These are all actually manifestations or behavior that we would display if we were actually enlightened. Okay? It's just that before we reach that enlightened stage, we're looking from the outside. We're saying, oh yeah, these are rules. That's proper, right? Things like that. Okay? All right? So when Buddhas and saints, because they're enlightened, they would behave and not say, oh, because there are rules. No, behave according to their Buddha nature, which, from that perspective, is that thusness, right? That is so. That is just the way it is. From our perspective, we say, oh, you're behaving very properly, very, awe-inspiring, very dignified. See, from our perspective, because we're not yet at that level, right? Okay, so that's the summation. So that's why there are rules, because it's to help us learn, God, and we get closer and closer, and we can, kind of eliminate our desires, our wrong views, our attachments, all that, anger, the 3 poisons, blah, 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 all that. And then when we get closer to that, we would then be closer to our Buddha nature, and then everything will then become what quote unquote natural. So then that's when the wisdom, our bright wisdom, divine wisdom, perfect wisdom will naturally show itself. Because we have what? Less and less defilement, you can say, okay, desires, attachments, etc., wrong views, etc., okay, or delusions, whatever, less of that. So that means we have less ignorance, another way of saying, okay, and so that's how it is. So that's the whole process in a nutshell. All right? Thank you.
But there's also a trend of thought that says you cannot experience light until you have seen the darkness.
Okay, because right now we're in a dualistic realm, because we're not, at that enlightened stage, okay? So that's why, you can say, I can say, Buddhas always say, vexations or afflictions is also the Bodhi mind. Okay, sensations is also the Bodhi mind. Okay, how can you say affliction be a Bodhi mind, be enlightened? Why? Because you realize that it is our Buddha nature that allows us to sense, allows us to feel, allows us to feel pain, to feel sorrow, to feel joy, to feel pleasure. It's that. So that's the Bodhi mind. Okay? It's not because, affliction is human. That's true, it's human. But then you look at a corpse is human, but it has no affliction. To them it doesn't matter. But a corpse is human, right? Yes. It has a head, 2 eyes, 2 ears, right? Just like us. What's the difference? Because the difference is it has no Bodhi mind in that body. Okay? So that's why, at our stage initially, we have to go through this, but that's what we call the ho. It's like you can say the levels of achievement, or to experience, to go through that process of refinement, if you will. Okay.
Maturity?
Maturity is part of that.
Tempering?
You can say. Excuse me?
Tempering.
Tempering, yes. Refinement, tempering, yes, refinement. So it's it's cultivation. Another way, it's part of cultivation. Cultivation is broad. That's one aspect of cultivation. so we have to, do that. But gradually, everything will be is, and then then the higher level will be, it's the tri-syllogism, and I say that's why you say affliction is Bodhi. People say, how can affliction be Bodhi? That doesn't make sense, but it actually is.
See, earlier you said you have to experience the darkness before you can see light, but the darkness or the light that the Buddha is speaking about is like being enlightenment, right? Because let's say, for instance, you're at home and you want to go to the bathroom, you put the light on, right? Because sometimes you hit your
darkness
foot,
go?
right? So the darkness is no longer there, and then it's night, you are sleeping, and then again morning comes and outside is bright and you have a good day. And most people don't really look forward to the night, they look forward to the day. See, so that means enlightenment is a good thing that we should be looking forward to all the time. So
yeah, darkness and light, okay, when I say it's dualistic, understand that it means it's conditioned. So right now, we still have to experience conditioned phenomena, okay? But actually, darkness by itself just means that there's no light.
yeah,
So it's conditioned. It's a condition because of no light. So therefore, it's darkness. So just like ignorance. Ignorance is a condition because we don't know or we're not enlightened. That's why there's ignorance. If we're enlightened, there's no such thing as ignorance.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is light and darkness is not permanent. It's not permanent. It's all due to condition. That's why it's dualistic. It's called dualistic. But actually, you can say these manifestations, lightness, darkness, ignorance, whatever, all that stuff, it's a manifestation of actually all of our Buddha nature. It's all from our Buddha nature. It's only because we have the Buddha nature that these conditions, or whatever you want to call them, or attributes exist or can exist. Okay, so the key is we have to go back to what is real. What has no beginning and no end. What has no beginning and no end? So that's what we have. That's what our Buddha nature is. So what is the mind that has no beginning and no end? Whoa, what is that mind? Right now you have a thought. 5 minutes ago you didn't have that thought. 5 minutes later you can have another thought. So that thought is not the true thought. It's not our Buddha nature. The key is we have to get to that level. Once you get to that level, we're Buddha. You are what we call absolute awareness. That's the level, state of absolute awareness. So we have to get to that level. Okay?
Ladies, any comments? Nothing? Laura? Nothing? Any questions? Guy? Asim? Asim, why is it everybody laugh when he said no?
We're all enlightened. Yeah.
No, there are no funny answers.
Because
Don't worry.
Asim has a light bulb on his
Yeah.
head.
See, remember, I'm sure you remember there's a passage in the Bible when they say when God was creating the world, right? And it was all created, and then everything was dark, and then He made light. And what did He say afterwards? Say it's good, right? So cultivation and enlightenment is a really good thing which we should be striving for, because no one wants to live in darkness. Okay, so if we don't, then I think last week's lessons we were speaking about the deepest part of the underworld. So who wants to go there? So it's our job to cultivate and strive for enlightenment and to become real. Just saying right now we're Buddhas is like just words. Okay, but if we have to cultivate and reach that enlightenment to become Buddhas, so that we don't, well, basically to overcome the cycle. So once we can overcome that cycle of birth, death, well, birth, samsara, birth,
reincarnation,
right? Old age, sickness, and death, then we know that we're there. So it's our job to do that. So it's really important that we try to find that light and stay in the light.
It's also a job to help one another to.
Yes.
Yeah, well, earlier,
Definitely.
remember it
To
says
help
we
others.
have to be our own master, right? And so we can help ourselves, and then once we can do that, then we'll help others.
That's really
Yeah.
what's called receiving the Tao. That's called receiving the Tao. It's not me that I receive it. No, that's not receiving the Tao. Receiving the Tao is to also to help others and to come on board the Dharma boat, say, to become enlightened. Become enlightened. The whole idea behind enlightenment is that we do not want to what? Continue in cycle. To Buddha, that's called suffering. To the enlightened person, that's called suffering. Because we are creating what? One karma after karma and karma. And that never ends. That never ends. And that's what's going to drive us to continue to reincarnate. So that's why we should get rid of attachments, right? Get rid of desires, hate, all that stuff. The 3 poisons, all that, okay, all that. The 5 dull vices, the 5 keen views, all that. When we get rid of that, then there's nothing to pull us, law of causality is universal, okay? It applies to everybody, okay? No exceptions, okay? All right. So if we don't have that, then there's nothing to force us to reincarnate. Then that's called enlightenment. Then that's really enlightened, okay? Okay?
Okay.
Actually, Rochelle, you have been away from home and staying on campus. Have you encountered any situation where you feel very fortunate that you have received the Tao and that you have been in temple? Like to share?
I need to think.
See, it's called whatever your experience is. Because this is what this is about. So whatever we experience. Yeah.
I think for me, it's not one big thing. It's just like a bunch of little occurrences in my daily life that kind of help remind me that being in the temple and growing up in the temple has done a lot of good for me. Because in Korea there's so many different kinds of people, and not all of them are like exactly like me. So then I met those kinds of people, and I mean we're still friends, but I know there's a clear distinction between me and my lifestyle and themselves and their kind of lifestyle. So kind of just like receiving the Tao and growing up in temple has given me clear boundaries in terms of like my morals, what I should and should not do, and like my limits in general. So for me, I'm just very fortunate to know what I want and to be able to say no to what I don't want.
Very good.
Wonderful.
I also have something to say.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so so I've been in temple for a really long time, basically my whole life. And then so like I feel like being in temple has made me gravitate towards certain people and also be like far from certain people. Like all my friends, they don't drink, they don't fool around, they choose homework over partying or whatever, which is good. Like I like those kinds of people because I don't do that myself. And then I have one instance where I'm the president of the club and I'm supposed to report back to like the sports director or like higher up, and then like he's not the most responsible person. Like he'll say like, oh, let's hold a meeting, and the next day he won't be in his office at all, and he doesn't tell you. So that happened one time, and I got really mad. But I was like forget it. It's not even my fault. Like I tried my best. I showed up, and it's his fault that he wasn't there. So I was like let go of the anger and don't hold a grudge. And hopefully next time you'll be more confident.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
女人那边，
yeah. So thank you, Grace of Heaven.
女人在那边，
So guys,
女人在那边拿。
我们这边
yeah.
我们是这边是男的。
Yeah.
女人
Okay,
去
so
那边
if I've said anything or made any mistakes or any misquotes, so I ask for heavens and your forgiveness. Thank you.